All right, now that you know my thoughts on the X-H2S, for the past 6 months of using this camera, I guess the only thing to talk about now is how I actually use it. And yeah, I'll go through all the settings and the custom modes that I have. So I guess we'll roll that B-roll. So today I'm just going to go through the custom modes of my X-H2S and how I actually set them up. These are settings that actually work for me. They may not necessarily work for you, but feel free to use them. Salt to taste, and see how they can work for you. These settings, how they can work for you. But if there are any major differences between your custom modes and my custom modes, let me know down in the comments below, and let's compare and see how your custom modes can work for my workflow and how my custom modes can work for your workflow. It's all a collaborative experience. We all work together. We're all friends here. So without further ado, let's talk about the custom modes. But first of all, I just want to talk about one little thing, and I think this is a very important setting to change with every single one of your X-H2 or your X-H2S. So by default, your custom mode will be set as a still mode, and this is what I would change. You head down to the third page of the image quality tab and go down to custom mode setting. Here you'll be able to decide if the current custom mode you're in should be for stills or movies. Once you've decided that, go back to the same page and tab, and it's probably a good idea to go to auto update custom setting and enable that. Now I find this setting actually really helpful, especially if you're on a long shoot day, you're on a break or you have to change your batteries. When you turn off your camera, it won't accidentally reset your settings back to what it was originally. Your settings will be back to where you last left it. And yeah, it can save your ass for a very long shoot day, long shoot week, or long shoot month. You never know. So something to think about. Now, as you probably already know, there are 7 custom settings on the X-H2S, but I personally consider it as 9 custom settings. And hear me out. So you have the 7 custom modes, C1 to C7, but then you have the still mode and the movie mode as well. And that makes it 9. But that's just how I see it. It may be different. Maybe you think differently than I do. So yeah. But anyway, let's get the still modes out of the way first, and we can go into the exciting part for me, and that's the movie modes. All right, let's start with manual mode. Manual mode is simple enough. This is the setting that I would actually use just to, if a client asks me to take some corporate photos or some group photos, it's all set to neutral except for the dynamic range, which will be set to DR400. But everything else pretty much neutral, everything in off, and yeah, that's easy enough. So I can edit into Lightroom. I can put it into Lightroom and edit it, lift up the shadows and all that stuff, all that good stuff of the Fujifilm RAWs. Nothing straight out of camera. Okay, maybe some straight out of camera, but the client doesn't know that. Shh. And that's pretty much my manual mode settings. So let's just move on to custom mode 1. Custom mode 1 is meant to be my everyday street for fun photography. It's not meant to be edited in post. The only editing I'll do in post is basically just cropping and aspect ratio changes, but everything else will be straight out of camera, and then I would post it straight to Instagram or Vero or wherever. The only difference between C1 with my manual mode is that I will have a film simulation ready for this custom mode, and that is actually Fuji X Weekly's film simulation recipe. So you have so much film simulation recipe on Fuji X Weekly, so I actually recommend you check it out. Obviously, you got to tweak it a little bit. Like, for example, I use the Emulsion 86 film recipe, and I love it. The only thing that I actually changed from that film recipe was the white balance from daylight to auto, and I love it. It's great. It's a great little tool for you Fujifilm shooters out there. It's great because they get really good images straight out of camera, and it helps a lot in terms of like just posting straight into Instagram. All right, now that I've gone through my still modes, it's time to go through my favorite part of this camera, and that is the video modes. All right, before I go through all the custom modes, I just want to let you know the codecs that I use really quickly for movie mode: C7, C6, and C5. Now, these 4 modes, I will actually use one of 2 settings, 2 codecs, sorry, one of 2 codecs, and that is ProRes LT or H.265 422 all-I at 360 megabits per second. And these really depend on the type of shoot that I'm doing and what kind of codecs that I need to in terms of editing. Also, for these 4 settings, these are the only 4 modes, custom modes that I would actually use F-Log 2 with. Everything else will be, well, I'll mention that later. All right. So now my video settings are pretty much all the same. The only difference is just the custom modes, how I would set each mode up to be for a different thing. So let's just get right into it. All right. So the first custom setting that I've done is actually in the movie mode, and that is 6.2K 25p. Now I would use this mode more for controlled environments, or if I know that the client wants a more cinematic video with no slow-mo involved. It's also my go-to, especially if the client is requesting a 9:16 video, mainly because of that open gate sensor. If you watched my previous video, I explained what open gate is and how it actually helps in terms of getting 9:16 outputs. So check out that video if you want to know more about open gate. Now, custom mode 7. I've set it to DCI 50p. I don't think I need to explain why DCI 50p is great. It's 4K, it's 50p, it's the best B-roll setting to have. So I don't think I need to explain more. Let's just move on. Now, custom mode 6 and custom mode 5, I'm gonna bunch these together because these are my slow-mo options. C6 is gonna be DCI 100p and C5 is Full HD 200p. Now I bunched them together because I rarely use these modes. These are modes that I only use when a client specifically needs them. But, you know, again, like I mentioned in the previous video, it's good to have. It's nice to know that your camera is able to do 240 frames per second. And yeah. All right, so for custom mode 4, this is 4K 25p. This is the mode that I would use for events. And this is the only mode that I shoot in F-Log 1. And also, the codec that I would use for this is actually H.265 long GOP 422 at 200 megabits per second. So the reason why I use F-Log 1 for custom mode 4 is because this is going to be my A cam to my X-T3's B cam, which is filming me right now in F-Log. And you know, F-Log 1 is great, and having that 2 match makes it even better. And especially for events, long GOP at 200 megabits per second, just easy to edit. All right, so custom mode 3 is 4K 50p and custom mode 2 is 6.2K 25p. I know what you're saying. Ken, didn't you do this already? Yes, but no. Let me explain. So custom mode 3 and custom mode 2 are my partner and I's vlogging mode. We're planning to make a new channel. So when that comes up, please do follow, please do subscribe, and please do like those videos. But basically those modes are going to be, first of all, purely shot in Turner. ISO is going to be in auto, white balance is in auto, and it's going to be in shutter priority mode. Everything else that I've mentioned so far has been in manual mode except for this one. This is going to be purely shutter priority. And the whole point of that is so that having shot in Turner, everything in auto, everything will be so simple, and all I have to do is just plug and play, put it into editing, and just output. And you know, it's meant to be a vlogging style, right? So it doesn't have to be super clean, super perfect, like what I would do with like a client work or a freelance job or a shooting job. It will be so much different. And obviously that's how a vlog should be. It's more gritty. It's more, not in your face, but more you're there with us. And basically that's how we've set up this 2 modes to be, well, how I've set up those 2 modes to be. So just before I finish this video, I just want to mention one thing. This is very important, I think, for a lot of people getting into video. Just keep this in mind, right? And that is data levels. I want to do a special shout out to Geraldine Dunn and Jamie Lejeune. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'm put your Twitter right here, your Twitter handle around here. But thank you to the two of you for trying to explain my dumbass about how data levels work. I still don't understand. I tried learning it, I tried understanding it, I still don't fully understand it. But what I got is basically this. If you're shooting in H.265, you should be using full range data levels. And if you're shooting in ProRes, you should use video range. So those two things you have to keep in mind when you're setting up your X-H2 or your X-H2S. Make sure that you set it the way it is, and because your NLE will read it very differently. Fortunately, if you're using DaVinci Resolve, it's pretty simple. You can change between video range or full range data levels. But if you're using Premiere Pro, I forgot which one it was, but you aren't able to change your data levels on your scopes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how I set up my X-H2S. It's nothing too crazy. It's pretty simple. If this is your first time setting up your X-H2 or your X-H2S, I really do hope this helps. And if you do want to follow, just remember, salt to taste on how you would use your camera. And if you do already own an X-H2 and an X-H2S, let me know down in the comments below. Like I mentioned earlier, let me know what your custom modes are, and let's compare, see if there are any similarities or differences between our custom modes. And yeah, I'm just pretty curious about that. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I guess I will see you guys in the next video. See ya!